I tell commercial agents all the time, if you're not learning from residential agents who go do hundreds of units a year while you pound your chest about the 24 you did last year, you're missing the message. Because there's systems and processes and like team building that is mastered on the residential side that the commercial agents are still in the Stone Age around.
All right, this is going to be super exciting. Welcome back to Are You Winning? I am Coach Craig Zuber, and I am here with the one and only Alicia Shepherd. She is a commercial real estate agent. She's a business coach. She's a mother. She's a wife. She owns multiple commercial businesses. She's been doing this for 16, 17 years. She's out of Austin, Texas, and I cannot wait to get started talking to you, Alicia. Thanks so much for being here.
What's up, hot sauce? I'm ready for today. Let's go.
What are you ready for, Alicia? What do you really want to tell us about your life, your experience? Actually, no, let's just start with, tell me everything that you actually, what are you working on today? What are all the things that you're doing, that you own, that you focus on? What do you got?
Whew. Well, I'm one of the 2 executive leaders for KW Commercial here at Keller Williams. We're about 2,400 members, which is, we're growing every day and we're getting more productive every day, which is awesome. I have a commercial real estate training company, Nucleus. We train about 1,000 commercial real estate agents per year right now. And we're looking to increase that number 10% this next year, which we're excited about. We have a collection of companies called Launch Commercial Real Estate Network. That's a platform solution to create a fully concierge style commercial real estate business for someone who wants to be in production, but they don't necessarily want to be masterful at running the business and hiring the team and managing the projects. We've built a solution for that allows you to have institutional quality support outside of an institutional brokerage. So you don't have to be bootstrapped to the way things have always been. And we're really excited for where we're going in this next year with that as we onboard 40 new teams to the platform. We also have a full portfolio collection that we're invested in and managing and we're having fun with. And around that, I'm a mom to 4 kick butt kids, triplets that are 2 and a 6-year-old little boy. And I've got the coolest husband on earth. I know Nicole might argue with me on that, but I got a pretty cool dude. So we're good.
That is a lot.
It's a lot, but it's a lot of fun.
How do you keep it all together?
Good leverage, good people, good team, good coaches. Bring in all the world to help you out, and it shows up.
So how long you been, what year did you get into commercial real estate?
2008.
2008. And what got you into it? What got you into the commercial business?
I originally got in as an investor. I was a staff songwriter at Universal Music Group, and I had bought a 4-unit apartment building just for that was my retirement plan, right? So I did that, and I thought that was actually really cool. And as that industry changed, I wanted to make a shift, and I just looked up one day and I said, well, I like commercial real estate. I had a colleague that I had met in a yoga class, and she was saying that she needed help, like she needed oxygen. I said, I'll come work for you for free for a week as your assistant, and let's see if it's a fit. She thought I was crazy. I did too, but we tried it, and she ended up having what at the time was like a pretty decent multifamily commercial real estate team in Santa Monica, California. And I got my feet in, and I loved it. I just kept going. So I started on the ops side and moved to the sales side after about 18 months.
About 18 months. Okay. So look, you got a long story here, about 17 years, 16 years into this industry. I've never met anybody that's really succeeded their way into success. There has to be a process along the way. Is there a significant time, maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, where either things weren't going so well, or you were making more mistakes than you were overly excited about, or you wanted to make a change, something like that? Because how do you get from there to what you've currently accomplished? There had to be something significant that happened throughout that process.
Yeah. I think there's 3 key points that when when I think about this question, I can look back on. One is when I first got in as an agent, I just felt like there was no transparent path to training. And so I watched myself and my colleagues just learn at the client's expense, and that always sat poorly with me. For the amount of money and capital and legacy that a commercial real estate agent's playing with, you should absolutely go in trained and knowledgeable, not figuring it out as you trip through deals and hopefully don't squander someone's wealth. And so my first year, I really struggled with if I even wanted to do this because I didn't feel like I was responsible. And so I just I kept retraining myself wherever I could find it, because the firm I was at the time that was supposed to have the best training in the business, it didn't responsibly send me out into the world. And so that for me always echoed as, I wish the industry was different. I wish someone would change this. So then fast forward about 3 years.
How long did that take before you were like, what the heck? There's no training, there's no guidance, there's no like.
Oh, it was like 60 hours into my firm that I had joined. I joined an institutional, like good old boys club, that like very quintessential commercial real estate place. And I went there because they had told me that's where everyone goes to get trained. That's the best training in the industry. So I thought I'll be in good hands. And about 60 hours into being there, like 3-4 days in, I'm sitting at my cubicle and I'm like, they're ready to throw me on the phone and I can barely spell commercial real estate. And I mean, I could literally spell it, but you don't have enough backbone to actually authentically advise someone at that point because the knowledge is missing. The foundation isn't there. But that was the best training according to the professionals in that industry. And I thought that was pretty awful. I mean, I've had jobs where I wait tables or serve at a bar when I was in high school when I got better training there. And that's saying something. And so
you got better training working in a bar and a restaurant than you did getting into commercial real estate.
For the job at hand, yeah. And that there's a problem with that. I can't sleep with myself at night if I look up and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm going to go tell this person I'll work with their multi-millions of dollars. And that's irresponsible. And so I got really intentional at helping myself, but it bugged me that like, as I looked out, how many people in this industry were just being thrown in the water and told to go for it without really knowing what that meant or how to do it in a way that would both help their clients be successful and actually make them successful in this path and actually help them get a foundation in their business. And so I got about 3 years in at that firm. I was there for 8 years total. At year 3, I look up one day, we had overinvested. We got cocky. We, like many real estate agents, hadn't taken care of our finances correctly. We hadn't paid things down correctly. We were lifestyle living in Los Angeles versus like running our businesses. And we didn't even know what that meant because that wasn't a language or a conversation at the company I was with. And we had gotten invested in a deal that went sideways. I mean, our whole life bottomed out. We went from having like great cash flow to like, we're getting on food stamps, and our family was on food stamps for 6 months while we figured out how to unravel the mess we had made and turn it around. And that was a giant wake up call of, I no longer can keep winging this and hope it works. And so that was the first time I hired a coach. And I got really intentional at learning what on earth I needed to do to set myself up for financial success as a real estate professional. Started learning about how to have my business entities, how to think about my cash flow. I picked up the MREA at a commercial brokerage, and I was like, I know this worked for the team I was with before. I'm just going to follow this book. And that was a tipping point where my business just went hockey stick effect because I got my foundations and my models in place. And the more I did that, the more I felt even more like a fish out of water with the company I was at, because models and foundations and like thinking of yourself as a business owner was definitely something that inside their culture, and really in the culture of the commercial real estate industry, isn't something that they want you to do. They really want you to come in and be a cog in their wheel, to have the expectations and behavior of an employee with all of the comp models and pay structure of an independent contractor. And so it was almost like that moment in the Matrix where he's starting to realize that like things aren't real and like this isn't what you think it is. It was I spent probably a solid 12 months in that window of like, I know what I'm doing is better for myself, my clients, my family. And yet the firm I was at got more and more uncomfortable with how I was starting to just take ownership of like, I'm going to run my business like a business. They couldn't really do a lot about it because my success ratio was going up. And so, gosh, at year 8, they had quite vocally shared that they didn't really see a role for women in leadership. And that I looked up and I'm like, why am I surprised? It's a national firm and there's 0 women in leadership in this like 1,500 person organization. And so I picked up the phone and I called a Keller Williams owner who I'd known him for years, and he said, come run things here. So we made the shift. And that was probably like the third big moment where I look at like, why did I get to this point? I moved to a company that taught me to not just be a business owner, which I had started developing, but to think about how do I create a life by design? And as I took bold for the first time, and like I jumped in the deep end, I drank Kool-Aid. And as I took bold, I realized all the things I was mad about with my industry or frustrated with, or that I just thought weren't great, and I kept looking for someone else to solve. I had to stop and ask, like, why do I expect someone else to carry the water and chop the wood for a task that my heart feels called to? And I just knew I had to get to work at changing things. So, I mean, it was within my first 6 weeks at KW that I just started to see, if I want a different industry, I have to create a different industry. And that's where Nucleus started. We started with a training foundation. And then from there, it's evolved into all these other companies. Any gap where we wake up and we say, this is what is keeping a commercial agent from helping their client best, we solve it. This is what's keeping a commercial agent from being a responsible business owner and having dollar productive days. We solve it and we build it and we run. That's where launch really came from, was the operations and the back end of the business that are actually pretty administratively tasking in commercial.
Okay. This is awesome. So I can hear all the authenticity in your voice. I can see how passionate you are. Have you always been like this, Alicia?
I've always been a pretty like all or nothing kind of gal. I'm very, if I'm in, I'm in. If I'm out, I'll tell you. I'm an introverted extrovert. So if I don't want to go out on a Friday night, I'll say, Craig, I'd love to come see it. It sounds amazing. And my PJs are calling me. I'm going nowhere, bud. It's not about you, it's me. So I'm very clear at what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And I don't play a little bit, and I don't test the water or wring my hands about stuff very much.
All or nothing?
All or nothing. That's why the hair's red.
Hey there, I'm Jeremy Herman, CEO and co-founder of ClarityNOW. Listening to this podcast means that you're committed to your career and to growing your business. You're the reason why we created ClarityNOW. You see, ClarityNOW is the real estate software designed to transform real estate agents into business owners. Now, being a great real estate agent is an entirely different skill set than being a great business owner. That's where ClarityNOW can help. ClarityNOW is powerful because some of the industry's top real estate coaches built it. We know what insights as coaches top performers need to grow their business. So, do you have a business plan based on your net profit goals? Do you know how you're performing against your quarterly goals? Do you generate a P&L each month? Do you have the best tools to help your team members hit their goals? Are you managing your company's pipeline and conversion reports? Do you have the data that you need at your fingertips to run a successful business? ClarityNOW can solve all these problems. Visit us at www.claritynowre.com and schedule a personalized tour to learn more. Mention this ad and we'll throw in 1 month for free. Congratulations on your success, and let's take your business to the next level together.
Let's look at some bullet points then, in the sense of what are the lessons that you know now that you wish you knew then? So listeners are like, oh my gosh, here's the pain. Here's the path that I went through. but what do you wish you knew now so that you could so anybody else listening in could like get to where you're at faster?
Oof. I think the first and most primary one that is a limiting belief in commercial real estate is that you have to show up looking like a certain type of paper doll, be it male or female. You have to look like the cool kid that's painted as like, this is a commercial broker. And that is just not true. The more I started to say, I mean, for example, case in point, when I started commercial real estate, my hair was not red. My hair was like a very safe color of auburn that I absolutely hated, but it was conservative and it was traditional and it was going to be okay. I came from a music background, so that was painful. I'm a creative human that was like, I have very boring hair, but here we go. I think the more you just show up as yourself, the more you win business, because you can authentically be true to, this is who I am and how I'll represent you. And most of our clients don't want that like quintessential commercial real estate, like shark petting zoo dude in a suit. Most of them actually feel a little uncomfortable with that approach, and they'd rather feel like they have an empathetic and trustworthy human being at the other side of the transaction. So I would say that that's number one. You do not have to be the vision of what you believe a commercial real estate broker is. You can be whoever you want to be and make it in this gig.
Okay, so let's go back to that number one lesson, because I think it's massively powerful. Now that you've learned that to be you and only you and nobody else, just the best version of you and not attempt to be any other version of you, how has that transformed like your success in the industry?
Oh, I mean, I used to have to fight for listings when I was in the room face to face for somebody. I had to like have my scripts ready. I had to come in fighting. I can close for listing over the phone these days because I'm more comfortable in my skin, because I'm more authentic and they feel and sense that. And so the path to winning business gets so much easier because they believe you when you tell them who you are and what you'll do for them. Whereas if you're uncomfortable in your own skin, or you've got limiting beliefs that there's not a seat at the table for you because of your gender, because of your race, because of your age, be it at the high end or the low end, they're going to feel like there's some insecurity showing up here. And that translates to you losing business, that they probably would have been better hiring you than the cocky agent that walks in the room after you, that thinks they've got it made because they do look like the paper doll figure.
Regardless of what choice we make, we're not going to fit every box, right? Like, so you're going to lose business. You're not going to be able to help everyone anyway. So why not be the very best version of yourself? And instead of attempting to be somebody that you're not, because what I'm hearing you saying is you lost more business because you weren't being you than you do today. Now that you are you, now you're attracting the right people that actually want the real you, that will tell them the truth, that has their back, that's on a mission, versus I'm going to tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah. And like a client who gets me is going to trust me. But early on, I probably spent my first 10 years fighting for clients that gave me heartburn and gray hair because they didn't get me. And when I showed up authentic and honest with them in a negotiation versus telling them what they wanted to hear, they got pissed. And I'd rather have the client that's like, Alicia, I hired you because you're going to hand it to me and tell me, this is what we got to do. If you want to move this deal forward, here's how we're behaving. And not every investor wants that. And that's great, but I'm best suited for the one who does. And the more I leaned into that versus shied away from it and tiptoed around it, the more my pipeline and my business and empire growth just started rolling down the hill really fast toward productivity and profitability. That was stalled because I kept being the one like pulling it back. We have to be resistant to really having fun in this game because there's a way we're supposed to be. So that was the biggest lesson. And I'd encourage anyone for that, because this isn't a totally inclusive industry yet. We're working on that. But today there's a lot of people that are like, I would love to have a path in commercial real estate, but in my market, I have a coaching client in her market as a Black woman. She's like, I've got an uphill battle. And there is some truth, unfortunately, to that. And the more that she gets really comfortable of, I am a Black woman in this industry, in this market, the more her audience will come find her and she'll dominate. And she's already feeling that success. It's just owning that you're okay to be you, and someone's going to want to hire you. They'll want you more than they want the guy that hasn't figured that out yet.
So, it's so powerful is knowing who we are is like the shortcut, right, to everything in life. But you're saying it's not just knowing who you are. Now you have to behave who you are as well. I know who I am. I can't behave differently than who I am. So yeah. Step one, I know who I am, and now I'm going to behave that way. I love it. Any other tough lessons that you learn along the way that, they're just lessons, whether they're tough or not?
I think the other one is there's no shortcut to your database, right? Like if I start a residential business, let's just play a game. If I start a residential business, what do you tell a new agent for building their database? How do they get started?
Well, first of all, you go get your 200-person wedding list or graduation list or whatever. You start there. You start with the people that you know, you like, you trust you.
100%. In commercial, you start there, but that can't be the foundation. You've got to have like a farm style database that is either investor, business, or property focused. So let's say I want to be a multifamily specialist here in Austin, Texas. The way I start my database, I'm going to go pull a title list of all of the multifamily buildings that I want. I encourage most new agents in Nucleus and in our series 8-week database, we teach them, go get 2,000 properties. You're going to database that, and you're going to know what those properties are, who owns them, and how to talk to that owner. And that's the foundation of your database. Your job for your first 2 years is to systematically, with a process, talk to the owners that own the real estate you want to be the market specialist in. Because if I just went and got like my colleagues, my sphere, my circle, musician, a lot of my friends don't have a commercial real estate investment path, right? I'm going to starve before I get a deal under contract. I might find one buyer, but in commercial, a buyer can take anywhere from 1 to 2 years to transact with. It's a long path. It's not fast. And so that database of the foundation of clients that you're going to go win with, you're going to become the household name for that type of real estate. That's vital. And most agents skip that step and try to work relationships or just go door knock, go to networking events. And they're always missing the foundations of leads, listings, and leverage. And the only way to listings is to know the properties you're going to get and go talk to the owners that control that real estate.
So do you see that agents struggle with that? Making a decision? You got to make a decision at some point, right? Sometimes the process of gaining clarity is figuring out what you don't want in order to figure out what you do. So somebody comes in, I want to take on the world in commercial. Number one, you better be authentic. You better know who you are. You better be who you are so that you can attract the right people. Number two, then you should make a decision on what you actually want to specialize in. Because once you do that, we can really hone your focus and we can build that database based on what your strengths are, whatever either your strength is or what you want to become educated and become the expert on. Is that right?
That's exactly it. Because it's specification. You got to go in and become really knowledgeable on one product type. If I try to be a generalist in commercial real estate, it is very uncommon to meet a generalist who's at 7-figure earning level or even high 6-figure earning level, because the amount of knowledge you have to control that type of real estate, the templates and systems you have to have, the contract capabilities, the database, the pipeline of buyers or tenants, it's exceptional. And that's an organization that's almost impossible to scale. And so you get stuck at this 250, 300K a year earning level, which for a lot of agents is awesome. But I meet agents that they're I'm plateaued and I'm stuck in why. And the minute we inspect it, it's 1, you're not specialized. 2, you don't have a database. You have a bunch of relationships, a bunch of online leads that funneled in, and there's value to those. But without the foundation of a database that you're going to go take market share in, you're lost before you get started with commercial. And it doesn't have to be property, right? Let's say I'm a tenant rep and I want to do that. Well, then you need to go get the 100 brands in your market that you want to specialize in. Or you need to decide what type of tenants will you just be absolutely amazing at representing. Maybe it's restaurants. Maybe it's, I'm going to go be the person that works with fitness brands, and I'm going to know what they need in their spaces. I'm going to know what they need to negotiate around, and I'm going to master that process and then get in that community. But if we're vague, our responses are vague too. And so for an agent, that database control is vital. It's decisiveness and then build it out. You need 2,000 properties in commercial to get saturation. If I'm going to the relationship side, I need 300 to 400 because our pipeline timelines are longer and slower. And so if they try to skip that step, to not do the hard work, to do that research and homework, they're stalled. And then they can't figure it out, and they could stall for 2 or 3 years and fall out of the business that they could have been great at.
Okay. Step 1, be authentic. Be you. Step 2, know exactly what you want to specialize in.
Yeah.
Take the time to figure that out before you become lost in the sauce like a meatball and go nowhere, right? I just want
my favorite Zuber line. Yep.
I want to be a generalist and I just want to be lost. Now, you want to dominate, figure out what you're going to dominate. There's probably a reason why you chose commercial. Why don't you just go back and figure out who you are? And do you want to be in restaurant? Do you want to be in commercial? Or I'm sorry, in like industrial? Do you want to be in apartments?
That's right. Like, I was not a good fit for apartments. I tell this story in Nucleus. The firm I was at, they sit you down, they go, you're going to work in West LA and go sell apartments. Well, West LA was predominantly Farsi speaking owners, and this gal did not thrive in that location, but I made it work. And then I learned really quickly, brokering apartments, I'm terrified of hoarders. And like you have to walk into a lot of apartment units when you're an apartment broker. And I learned very quickly, I was like, this is not a gig I'm willing to do for the rest of my life. Like, I don't want to be in hoarder units. I don't want to have to wake up every day and wonder what like rat's nest I'm walking into. So I shifted pretty quickly. And so in Nucleus, we talked through that. Like, think about some of the critical, like, what would a day in the life look like? Don't just go because you have one lead into a product type.
Absolutely. I love it. Okay. So what would be the next, I mean, you've given me your top 2 lessons. What's 3?
Consistency. You have to show up consistent for 2 years in a row to earn the right to have a business that will start to thrive for you. And a lot of agents get 60 days, 90 days, a quarter into it and throw their hands in there and go, oh, this won't work. But in commercial, you're not planting watermelon seeds, you're planting bamboo. And what I mean by that is, like, a watermelon seed, I can plant it, and within 2-3 weeks, I'll see a sprout. Within 3 months, I have a watermelon. Bamboo, I plant the seed. It could take 5 years for that to saturate and come above ground and turn into a bamboo stick. But once I've got it, I can't get rid of the dang thing. You can pull it out. It'll never go away. It takes 2 years of consistency to plant bamboo in a commercial real estate business. And it's that model of, okay, I've got the 2,000 properties. We teach an 8-week database model through Nucleus, and we've got like a whole training series and company that helps agents with that. And we say, take the 2,000 properties, chunk them down into 8 groups. You're gonna have about 250 properties a week. That's your job, to come in and tend that portion of your farm. Your job is to come in and make every best effort to talk to the owners of those 250 pieces of real estate. You're gonna call it round 1. Everyone you didn't get round 1, you're going to call them again. Then you're going to send emails or social media messages or text messages to anyone you didn't get on the phone. And then on Friday, you're sending a Hail Mary letter in the mail with a stamp to anyone you couldn't find a phone number or way to communicate with. And you do that week in, week out, 8 weeks at a stretch, 6 times a year through your whole database. You do it for 2 years, you've got unstoppable momentum that you'll take 20% market share within the next 18 months. But it takes that consistency of rotating the database to do it. Most agents aren't willing to do. You've brought a lot of clarity on the language on this for me in the last few months. They're not willing to do what they have to do to be who they want to be. And that's part of the authenticity that's in the first step. You have to get really honest with yourself. What am I willing to do and what am I not? And if the process I just described is not what you're willing to do, you need to be on someone's team who's willing to tee up that organizational system for you. And then you just rotate the database and they'll help you be accountable to that. Because if you go on your own, you won't get started.
Yeah. So it's consistency and patience, I guess, right? Like having the patience to know that this is a 2 years and it's not 2 months. It's not a instantly gratifying. Well, but nothing is instantly gratifying, right? Like
No.
anything worth having or building is going to take time and going to take patience.
Yeah. And I mean, the 2 years, the payoff is massive. You get through it, you might make 75 to 100,000 your first year if you are consistent. If you are not, you might make $10, right? And then the second year, you'll get to 150, 300. And then from there, it's like year over year, that number doubles. And you don't have to work any harder or any different to get it. It's just consistency on a system that can help you go deep fast. Yeah.
Wow. I love it. It's that simple, right? Like here's the lessons. Number one, know who you are, be authentic. Number two, get clear and specific on what you're going after and what you want to specialize in. And number three, have the patience and persistence and consistency to stay the course for 2 years, knowing that the fruits of your labor will show up sooner than later.
Yeah. You make it sound so simple. I mean, it is, but it's not easy. It's a lot of, I mean, this is probably one of the truest statements in commercial real estate. It's a lot of rejection, but it's not really rejection, it's objection, right? But when you're on the phone or you're door knocking and you're prospecting to those owners and it's no, 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 it's not a rejection to like, Craig, I don't want to hire you. It's today's not the day I'm moving one of the largest assets in my life, which has nothing to do with you. It's just timing.
Absolutely. It's either not now and or it's not you that got rejected. Maybe your question got rejected. So just reframe the question.
That's right. And keep coming back because the goal, the saturation point where it gets really fun and you start to like really have a lot to do in this gig is the goal is to get where that database of 2,000 people, 2,000 properties or 300 tenants, right? Wakes up one day and they say, feet on the floor, God, today is the day I need to do something with my real estate. And the first name that comes to their mind is yours because every 8 weeks you've been back in front of them. And every 8 weeks on a different rotation, so maybe 4 weeks in between, they're getting a marketing piece from you. And you start waterfalling your marketing so that there's never really a time they're not hearing from you, but all you have to do is automate your calls so that every 8 weeks you're talking to them. You just got to be top of mind that day they wake up and they got to do something.
I love the fact of listening to you and going through this process that people think that commercial and residential is so different. But when you boil it down to what matters most in practical application, it is almost identical twins.
Yeah. I tell commercial agents all the time, if you're not learning from residential agents who go do hundreds of units a year, while you pound your chest about the 24 you did last year, you're missing the message. Because there's systems and processes and like team building that is mastered on the residential side that the commercial agents are still in the Stone Age around. They haven't figured that out yet. And it comes from a path of ego and ignorance of that's residential, that's not for me. But the only thing that's really different is the sticks and the bricks, the contracts, and the way we start the database. But the habit with the database is the same.
Yep. So these 3 lessons are basically the path to winning in commercial real estate sales within 2 years or less. That's really it.
That's it, man. Put a bow on it.
Oh my gosh, this has been great. I love it.
It's been fun, man.
All right, so let's just transition a little bit to these Clarity 5 to get a little bit more to know about you. All right, like we've learned a lot today.
Let's go.
We learned about the color of your hair, about how Spitfire you are. About
it's not naturally red, by the way. I'm a very boring shade of brown, but it's fine.
Like somebody decided they woke up and said, I'm not a redhead, I'm going to be a redhead. Holy smokes, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So you got a TV show or a series or something like that you're watching?
I think I'm late to the game, but I just started Yellowstone, which has been really good. I'm still on the first season, so no spoilers, but holy Hannah, it's been great. Really good so far. I I was just late to the game because, triplets last 2 years. We haven't had a lot of bandwidth to watch much, but I'm excited on that one. It's good.
The fact that you have 4 kids and you have triplets is just unfathomable. I'm like,
I still wake up some days and I'm like, this is real. Like my husband and I, we'll do breakfast with the kids some mornings and I'm like, you see this? That's real life. We do this this is real. It's odd. Yeah.
How about any books that you're reading right now, or a book that's made the biggest impact on your life?
All right, it's going to sound like a campy answer, but it's not. Honestly, MREA's made the biggest impact on my life. So when we talk impact, that for me, it lives on my desk. I've got Post-it notes and paper clips all through the dang thing. That one's made the biggest impact. But what am I reading for fun right now? I just went and I'm like halfway through it. The True Blood series, the book series that it was based off of, I'm halfway through that. And it's amazing. The show, I was like, it's great. And then it got really weird. The books stay really amazing. So I'm loving those. But I still have 4 more to go through the series to finish that, but I'm liking it.
All right. Love that. How about a person, business people, or people, just people in general? Is there anybody that you study, mentors, or someone that stands out? I really study them.
Yeah. I haven't studied him for long, but the last 6 months, I've really been on a path to study Grant Cardone, just because for some of our companies, we're moving more into the webinar and live event space. Like Nucleus in January, we've got a live event in Phoenix that we're doing. And so rather than go try to figure it out for ourselves, we've just been, each of us on the team are studying someone who's doing a super awesome version of live events. And then we're pulling in their models to learn from that. I've always been a big proponent of Daniel Pink's high on my list, but I would probably say Byron Katie's always in my top 3. If I'm hitting a moment where I'm hitting a growth path, I almost always go to the work. I almost always go through the Is This Real series. And I think that for most of us, our emotional intelligence will fix things before our tactical intelligence does. I think her process is one that just makes it super accessible for anybody.
All right. Well, this is your shot. If you could go back to when you're 20 years old, what advice would you give yourself?
I feel almost reckless saying this. Get out of college sooner. I left college early to take an offer to join Universal Music Group, and they came around the first time, and my parents were very nervous about it, and I was like, I think I should do this. And they were like, absolutely not. And the second go round, the A&R rep that was talking to me, and she was like, you're going to college to get a degree in music composition. I'm giving you a job in the industry. I am not knocking on your door again. Don't be dumb. And I was kind of taken back. And I finally did it, but I should have started sooner. So I'd probably say if you're in a path that's not really hitting your start button, but you feel like it's what you should do, stop it. Go do what your gut and your heart is telling you is you're supposed to do. But maybe I was supposed to do it. Maybe I would never have gotten into commercial real estate had I gotten into songwriting for a living a year earlier.
There you go. See? Well, with that being said, then if you could pick any other profession outside of real estate, what would it be, Alicia?
Restaurant chef all day long. I love to cook. Something in the cooking field. If there was a creative path I'd go, that'd be it. I've tried music. It's not the dreamy career you think it would be. I'd love to cook in a restaurant at some point in time.
I don't know if you've seen this or not. If you haven't, you should watch Burnt.
So good. So good.
Bradley Cooper. And there's a ton of lessons about building a team and having to operate from the front of the house and the back of the house and picking the best and what that looks like. But it's such a great show.
I would actually tell any high schooler that thinks they want to have a big career path, go work in a restaurant. Go work front of house and back of house, see what that looks like. Cause you get the difference between sales and logistics, and that strengths work differently in different areas. Restaurants teach you a lot of respect for organizational strength. Yeah.
Amen to that. All right. Well, I want to thank Alicia Shepherd again for joining us today. And a special thank you to our sponsor, ClarityNOW. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast to get in the trenches with top real estate business owners who are winning and willing to share their lessons. This has been awesome. Thanks so much, Alicia.
Thanks, Craig. It's been fun, man.